Hello everyone, Melody here, mom of 4 in our blended family of 6. Welcome to Homeschool Happy Hour. Today I'm really excited to be participating in a collaboration put on by Suzanne at Whimsical Family Life, all about resources that we wish we would have known about sooner. Before we go any farther, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I am enjoying getting to know all of you with your comments. So as I'm going along, if you have something to contribute, please drop a comment in that box below. This is all about sharing resources so that people can find what works best for them. What works best for me might not work best for you, but you might have some great ideas that will work really well for someone else. So let's get the chatter going and drop those comments along the way. If you've already been following along with my videos, you know that I just recently did a video about free resources that you can find online. And I try to share with you guys what resources we choose to use in our home as we use them. And so I have been giving some thought into how I'm going to answer this question that Suzanne has proposed. And this is what I've come up with, is a very strange answer. Maybe. And I'm hoping that by the end of this video, you will have some encouragement, maybe a couple ideas, and you'll know a little bit more about me and my homeschool and what our homeschool journey has looked like. So, of course, there is the free resource that I think everybody knows about. I've always known about it, and that is the library. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that because it's not a big secret. But if you're not already using your library and you're not already tapping that excellent resource, then I would encourage you to do so, because even in our very small rural library, we have some things. I go in there and I'm always shocked that they have it. I didn't know that they had whatever it was. New things coming in all the time. So make sure you're using that resource. But for today's video, I'm going to focus on 3 other resources that I specifically wish that I had known about or embraced more as a new homeschooler. Now, the first one is the internet. I know that seems kind of funny because, like the library, everyone knows about the internet. They know it's there. It's not a secret. But when my children were very young, I was in a very different living situation. I had limited access to the internet. And so I did not use things like Pinterest and YouTube and now Instagram and all the other free resources that you can find on there, like I listed in my other video. And as my life circumstances have changed and I've been able to look more into what's in there, I really wish that I had delved into that as a new homeschooler. Specifically, the 4 things on the internet that I use the most now as a homeschooler are, number 1, YouTube. YouTube is a great source for inspiration. It's a great source to see how some other homeschoolers are doing whatever it is they're doing to give you ideas. And it's a great resource for encouragement because there are a lot of homeschool mamas out there sharing what they're doing. Of course, things are better now than they were before for secular homeschoolers. There's a lot of us out there sharing now, which is awesome. If you haven't reached out and subscribed to some of those other secular homeschoolers, please do. Let's support each other. That wasn't around 9-10 years ago when I was starting homeschooling. And I wasn't even looking on YouTube anyway because of lack of access to the internet. A huge one for me, it's new to me because I'm not super tech savvy, but that's Instagram. When I first started homeschooling, I was very isolated. I was in a very unhealthy relationship, in just a very unhealthy living situation. And while I wasn't allowed to use the internet very often or engage in social media very much, I wish that I had used that resource more for the purpose of encouragement. It is so nice to be able to hear from and see other homeschoolers out there that are talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of homeschooling so that we don't feel alone and isolated in what we're doing. So Instagram has been a great resource for me for that. The next one for me would be Pinterest. Pinterest is like this rabbit hole that I just fall into. I sometimes forget it's there, and then I'm like, oh, I could look on Pinterest. And then I get on there, and it's just, there are more ideas than I can fathom on there. There are a lot of free things that you can get on there. Some of the things you click on, and it's like you have to purchase it, which isn't always what I'm looking for. But if you're looking for ideas for your homeschool, Pinterest is a great place to go. Last internet resource, and this one's really more specific, but that's Homeschool Boss. I don't know if you've heard about that one before, but it is a homeschool testing company. And so if you live in a state like I do that requires your student to be tested, or if for some reason you just feel the need to test them during their homeschool experience so that you can see their progress, they are a great resource. When the girls first started homeschooling, I had no idea it was out there. We actually tested with the public school kids, which is a little bit of a headache. And then I was always, I don't know. And just the more connected we get with public school, the more of a challenge I found homeschooling can be. And so using a homeschool-based testing service has been great for us. So check out Homeschool Boss if you're needing testing. Okay, number 2 resource that I wish I had known more about: time. I wish that earlier on in our homeschool experience, I had taken our time. In the beginning, I was very concerned about where were we at compared to other people. There's that nasty comparison game, and always worried that we weren't getting enough done. I didn't appreciate that as homeschoolers, I had opened up our world to explore and to learn in our own time. So I figured that out now, and our homeschool is a much more pleasant, much more productive place for all of us, which I am loving. But I wish that I had figured that out sooner. And I would encourage you, if you're new to homeschooling or if you've been homeschooling longer than I have, remember that time is your most precious resource and that you don't need to rush through it. You have the time you need to learn what you need to learn. Try and do it in a joyful way without having to worry about wasting time or losing time, because you'll gain so much more from your homeschool experience. Okay, the last resource, and I don't know, hopefully some of you get what I'm saying here. This might sound a little goofy, but something I wish that I had known sooner as a homeschooler was to trust my own instincts. I had everyone and everything around me showering me with doubts and negativity about homeschooling, about my ability to homeschool, and genuinely, the most precious resource that you have in your homeschool is you and your children. You wouldn't be able to homeschool without either of those two things. It's important to appreciate that our children are naturally inclined to learn and to allow them to do that, at least to some extent, so that they can continue to develop a love of learning, so they can explore the things that they're passionate about, and to trust yourself in knowing what's best for your child. You can read a stack of books about the best ways to homeschool or the best approaches to learning, and that's all it is. It's information, which is great. Gather your information, but take what you like and leave the rest. What works for one family or one child might not work for another child, even in the same family. Every kid is different, and you as their parent, the one that's spending the most time with them, the one that is the most invested in their education, you know what works well for your kid. And even if you haven't figured it out yet, because it can change and it can take time to figure that out, you're invested in doing that and trusting your instincts. If you see a material and you think to yourself, I think this will work great for my child, try it out. If it doesn't work great for your child, move on to something better. Change course. Do what you need to do to meet them where they're at, what works well for them. If you get this great resource from another homeschooler or a friend or some crazy lady on YouTube that's saying, oh, you have to have this, and and you're like, well, it sounds really nice, but I just don't think it'll work for my kid, trust your instincts. You know your kid, you know your family. There is no wrong answer when you have their best interest at heart. So I know that's kind of silly. I hope you understand what I'm saying here, but that's it. I guess there's four. There's the library, there's the internet, there's your time, and your instincts. So I'm not sure if that's what Suzanne was looking for when she was talking about resources she knew, but I really just wanted to get across to all of you that quality homeschooling isn't about how much money you have in your wallet. It is not about what your homeschool room or your house looks like. It is not about how much you ascribe to a certain style. It is about what works best for you, what works best for your child, and having confidence in your ability to implement those things in the way that you want to implement them, and letting all those other things go. Now I'm getting repetitive, but that was short, that was sweet. I'd like to thank Suzanne for putting together this collaboration. I'm excited to check out all the videos from the different ladies. I'm sure they'll have some great resources, and I will catch you next time.